How young is too young for social media? We all know about that pesky little 13 bucks.
Kids have to be at least 13 to sign up for most social media platforms.
But we know that many tweens work around that restriction.
In doing so, they can connect with peers and have fun.
But they're also vulnerable to a number of risks.
Mainly overuse and challenges to their social emotional health. Reflecting on age-appropriate content and behavior can help students think through social media's effects on all of us, regardless of age.
One of the arguments for an age requirement is that kids are more at risk when companies collect data about them, such as age, location, school, likes and dislikes, what they post, etc.
They do this to create target advertising directed at them. Is target advertising more of a risk when it's directed at children? Why or why not?
Time's up. The answer is yes. Kids have little to no experience with budget or spending money, so they're more likely to buy things impulsively.
They are more vulnerable to being manipulated into wanting to fit in or into buying products that they think will make them look a certain way.
You're also more vulnerable to products that have immediate benefits or give immediate enjoyment, but which have questionable long-term effects, like junk food or violent video games.
There's even a law to protect minors under 13 from websites collecting information on them.
Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPPA, is a federal law in the United States that restricts websites from collecting information about users who are younger than 13.
So when is your brain ready for social media?
Our friend Miles Best, partnered with Common Sense Education, shares some insight with us.
So back in the day, way back in 2006, when I was 12 years old, the principal came to the classroom to warn us about the dangers of MySpace. Cyberbullying, inappropriate content, stranger danger. Now, if you don't know what MySpace is, it's basically like Facebook with music, kinda. But anyway, the principal tries to scare us, and that just made me want a MySpace even more. So I go home, ask my mom, can I have a MySpace? She's like, sure, I don't care. So I go and make one, but you have to be 13. So what do? I just lied and clicked that I was 13. And there you go. That's the start of my social media career. So that's my story. But now it seems like there's tons of kids on social media. And when I say kids, I mean like little kids, 8 and under. Maybe their parents started an account for them when they were babies and now they want to take control of their own brand. Or they were like me and just lied and clicked, yes, I'm 13. But just because it was easy for me to get on social media, should I have been? I mean, I turned out okay, more or less. But looking back, I wonder is there any downside to starting social media so young? So, what's the right age to start using social media? Okay, first, we know there's lots of kids on social media. According to a 2015 Common Sense Media study, an estimated 20% of kids between 8 and 12 years old are using social media with or without their parents okay. That same study found that those kids are spending an average of 6 hours a day on media like TV, video games, and social media. And keep in mind that this was from 2015. And I'm guessing there's even more kids on social media now. And it makes sense. Half the kids I know want their own YouTube channel. You could be just like me. But when you sign up for social media, you gotta put an age in, and in most cases, you have to be 13. So why is that anyway? It's from an actual law called the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Congress passed the law back in 1998 when Mark Zuckerberg was barely old enough to have his own social media account. Wait, was social media even a thing back then? No, it wasn't. But lawmakers are worried about companies or other random people online collecting information from kids, like their name, phone number, and later, photos and location without their parents' knowledge. All stuff that applies today with social media. So what makes 13 so special anyway? Well, it's not really clear, but what is clear is that it's a really easy rule to get around. But just because you can, does that mean that you should? Alright, let's start with potential risk. First, there's privacy issues. Companies collect and share all kinds of data from users, from where you live to the last thing that you bought online. They may even broadcast your current location. And that's something that your little brother may not be thinking about when he posts that random video on TikTok. The whole thinking around COPPA is that children are considered a vulnerable group and that they should be protected from this stuff, unless their parents are okay with it. The idea is that when you're older, you've got more life experience, and you can make better decisions about what to share. We know that kids start experimenting with sharing their own data online when they're 11 to 13, but they don't really start to understand the risk and the consequences of what they do online until they're 14 to 16 years old. Then there's safety, plain and simple. Even if you put aside all the concerns about data privacy, there's still the issue of visibility. Kids can interact with strangers on social media, kind of like all the stuff my principal was talking about when she was warning us about MySpace. Online predators, identity theft, cyberbullying, people accessing your personal information are all risks we take whenever we use social media. And then there's mental health issues to think about. After all, children's brains are still developing. A scientific study found that kids' brains are highly sensitive to acceptance and rejection. Spending all of this time in online communities may have the power to change how a kid feels about themselves. I mean, who doesn't love getting love online? But what about kids who feel rejected or depressed when they don't get enough? Do we really want their self-esteem to be connected to a virtual heart or thumbs up? And don't get me started on trolls. Personally, I'm like, haters are gonna hate. And I'm not trying to sound cool or anything, but I guarantee a troll wouldn't say any of it to my face. That's why I hate the idea of kids taking these random internet trolls seriously. Is there going to be a future cost to kids who grow up needing online approval? So all that sounds pretty bad for kids, right? But I'm talking to you right now on a social media platform, and clearly I'm having a positive impact on young minds. Now, some research shows that social media can be a good thing for teens. For example, in this study, teens reported that social media makes them feel better about themselves. They also report it makes them feel more confident and less lonely and depressed. Then there's the argument that younger teens often use social media to find support and community that they have a hard time finding face-to-face. One of the first examples of this is the It Gets Better movement that reached out to young queer kids. Kids have also used social media to get support for everything from organizing around a cause or dealing with mental illness. One young man reached out on Minecraft and was met with overwhelming support when he admitted to considering suicide. And social media can lead to more than just online friendships or support forums. It can also help teens mobilize around causes that they're passionate about. Research shows that active youth engagement in politics and civic issues are linked to more active engagement as adults. It helps build identity, purpose, and even health and academic pursuits. So let's use some of our data plans for building those intellectual and activist muscles, people. Come on, let's get to it. The Parkland teens use Twitter to build a global movement for safer gun laws. And it's not just high school students making a big impact. At just 13, Alexandria Villaseñor used social media to gain support for her climate protest at the UN. So, looking back now, if I could give advice to 12-year-old Miles, it would be forget MySpace, buy stock in Facebook early. But wait, this isn't about me. It's about you. So what do you think? When do you think you became mature enough to handle all the pros and cons of social media?
Let's take a few moments to think about the following questions.
What do you see as the biggest benefits to using social media? How does it enhance your life?
What are your biggest concerns about using social media? What would be most risky for a child?
What experiences on social media have shaped your opinions the most? What have been the most memorable, both positive and negative?
What do you remember about your 10-year-old self? What were you interested in? What was challenging for you?
As we conclude, we are going to leave you with this activity. Write a letter to yourself at age 10. In that letter, you're going to make a recommendation about what age you should be when you sign up for and use social media. Your letter should include specific reasons and examples from what you learned today and from your own experiences using social media.
Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next year.